Sun is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. I'm all over the place. Just so excited for this Belmont meet. Aaron, we were talking about it before we came on that we're not excited for Keeneland to be over, but we're kind of over it. You get into that mindset, right, where it's like 3 weeks and you really can't dive into it. But we do have Belmont for the first time in months since last November, I believe. And we are back at it. It's almost a half a year. A lot of things have changed. We now know what the Kentucky Derby picture is. We didn't know at the time. We were just seeing some 2-year-olds exit Saratoga. We obviously had, the Triple Crown meet last fall. So everything was really weird. And when we fast forward 6 months or so, we're just like 9 days away from the Kentucky Derby, 8 days away from the Oaks. So we have a lot going on. We're going to do some preview. How excited are you for Belmont to open up again on Thursday, April 22nd?
Yeah, once the Lexington's over in Kentucky and we kind of round that 2 weeks to the Derby curve, it's kind of a little bit of, okay, let's get Belmont going. Let's get Churchill Downs back running, and let's focus all on the Derby. And that's kind of the mode we're in for sure. And these last 3 days at Keeneland kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Fairly or not, and especially yesterday with all the scratches. I mean, my goodness, that was a really tough card to bet. But anyway, it's exciting. I mean, the Derby is just taking on a life of its own right now. It's crazy here at the Racing Dudes headquarters every day, and it will be until Saturday at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whenever that Derby finally goes off. So yeah, it's exciting times right now.
Yeah, it's funny, right? We go to the Racing Dudes headquarters. There are no headquarters. It's really where we live, but it's kind of funny that I guess the headquarters, that's not true. The headquarters are where you and Jared are, somewhere in the middle. You guys should find a common spot somewhere in the middle. You guys can call that the headquarters. It is kind of crazy, right? It's for me, I'm trying to put out as many tracks as possible, and at some point I have to cut my legs off because I can't put them all out. I got to stop somewhere. Obviously, we're going to include Belmont, and then obviously we'll include Churchill Downs as they could take over for Keeneland on Saturday. So all that good stuff, and we'll dive into some Kentucky Derby stuff in a minute. I'll start first because I think your name is relevant to what we're going to do. So let's not get into it. For me, I have a few things I want to share, and they're not horse racing related. So give me a minute to 90 seconds to get this off my chest. I'm going to show everyone watching, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be doing horse racing stuff in just a minute or two, but I got to get something off my chest. Aaron knows how big of a baseball fan I am, probably bigger than any other sport outside, and honestly, it's at times more than horse racing, more than college basketball. I've been a Yankee fan, but I have to look at what I'm watching here. The Yankees are the second worst team in baseball. I'm not talking second worst in the division. I'm not talking about second worst in New York. I'm not talking about second worst in the league, in the American League. I'm talking the worst, second to worst team in the league. All of the MLB, only ahead of the Rockies, who traded their best player last year to the Cardinals. So that's one. But you could say, well, Ricky, it's early on. Okay, fine. I'll throw this stat. I'll throw this graphic up there. If you want to be last or second to last, you probably shouldn't have the second highest payroll in baseball. Just under $200 million. I mean, Aaron, do you have any thoughts? Like, I can't even watch a game. I can't sit down, and I know you're a St. Louis Blues fan, so I know you watch every night. For me as a Yankee fan, I can't sit down and watch. It's borderline like dreadful to know that they're playing again, and I got to watch them score one run again. It's very frustrating.
I just the only thing I could say is I have family that are huge Yankees fans up in New York, and they're the same way. Some people that were my in-laws that were with us last week were just, we don't get every game here, and he was checking his phone and he's like, oh my God, they lost again. Like Tampa swept them. Yeah, I don't know anything about baseball, so I can't really comment on anything technical, but I do know there are a lot of frustrated Yankee fans.
You know what the crazy thing is, and I'm not saying this to be tongue-in-cheek. It's one thing if you're, and I could scroll down, like I know you follow the Cardinals. If you have to follow a team, I guess would be the Cardinals, correct? Right? Like,
I mean, I have no idea what the Cardinals record is.
No. I didn't mean that. But like, if you were to be engaged in something, I guess the Cardinals or whatever your local
right.
team,
yeah.
Let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, it would be the Cardinals if you were to choose. They're 10th in payroll. Okay, and they're pretty good every year. Like they have a great baseball culture. They have a great organization. They always no one hates the Cardinals except if like you're the Cubs. But it's like you're hated and you're the Yankees, and you got to fend people off that aren't Yankee fans, which it's like you're Yankees or everyone else. It kind of seems like Duke basketball, same thing, Patriots, whatever. And it's like there's nothing I could say. And as a sports fan who loves to debate, I got to eat this crow until it turns around. So I'm just a very, very miserable man when it comes to baseball right now. And I couldn't wait for opening day. So that's enough of me on that front. I'm going to let Aaron get to his name now, which is relevant to what we're going to do. And it's I Hate Your Derby Horse. If you hadn't checked the website out, he has 3 articles, and we'll go through them all. We're not going to go through everything in the article, but we'll go through all 3, and we'll go some sort of way. The first article that's up there is Haters Gonna Hate. So we'll start with that one because we'll go in chronological order. Aaron, I'll let you start kind of with this one and kind of tell us what it's about, and then we could dive into it. People that don't really know, you guys could see it right here. I'm clicking on it. So Aaron, before we kind of dive into it, kind of tell us what it's about and what your thought process was behind doing this, and why you wanted to do this, and et cetera, before we kind of dive into the crux of what the article's about.
Yeah, so this is basically a tradition, the Why We Hate Your Derby Horse. We've done this for I don't know how long, almost since the site began. And basically, it was inspired by someone on Twitter who I don't even think he's on Twitter anymore, lucky guy, but he's just like, I just can't stand getting on social media this time of year because everybody hates Derby Horse for one reason or another. And I got the idea of, well, let's just make it into a comedy. Let's just say outlandish, funny things. It's my favorite article that I do each year for the Derby. It's a lot of people love it. So a lot of people are asking for it. It is out today. Why We Hate Your Derby Horse 2021. Some years are easier than others to make up things. Sometimes you can just kind of say the truth for some of these and it's fine and it works out well. And some years, there's good horses and you really have to kind of make up things. But this year was kind of in the middle is how I would describe it.
So real quick, what do you mean by in the middle? Like easy to do, or you have to kind of dig deep, or like what, for people that aren't aware, including me, because I didn't read it yet. I wanted you to come on and I'll get your genuine thoughts. What did you mean by in the middle? Like easy to do? Like what does that really mean?
Well, what it means is, like, take last year, for example. You had 'Tis the Law, and that was basically it. The rest of them you could make fun of very easily. This one, it's like, yeah, there's 4 or 5 where it's kind of like, I don't know. I kind of feel bad, in a way, saying bad things about them. And then the rest of them, you don't really. So that's what I mean by in the middle. I feel like, to flash back to last year before the race, everybody was like, well, 'Tis the Law is going to win. Authentic couldn't get a mile and a quarter, if he hopped in the back of a truck the last eighth of a mile, and the rest of them weren't very good. And, he had Honor AP, who a lot of people liked, but he was really easy to make fun of because he had just lost like an ungraded stakes at Del Mar. And so it was easy. This one, it was a little tougher to make fun of some of them. So
that's a good segue, right? Because we'll start with the horse that I don't really think you can make much of, make fun of. But Aaron attempted to do it. So Aaron, just give us a quick, I'm going to hold you to a sentence or one quick thought for each horse. We're going to go through them real quick, rapid fire, essential quality.
Well, he has the paddling thing. So that was easy. You just made fun of the paddling part of it.
Hidden stash.
I mean, I could have went a ton of different ways with him.
Dream shake.
Again, pretty easy. He's almost so boring that it was hard, but his trainer's like terrified to run in the race, so that was pretty easy.
Can you give us who the trainer is for people that don't know?
Peter Urton.
Peter Urton. Okay. Last time we thought he had a horse who stormed the court. Stormed the court still hasn't won since I was in high school. Hot Rod Charlie.
His name is the deal. It was just really easy to do to kind of make fun of him on that.
Yeah, you would think Hot Rod Charlie. You think a fast horse. He's not all that fast. Helium.
Helium. I mean, it's you got the natural prep thing going on where he's only gonna run in one prep and he has a long break, and so that was kind of easy. And I by the way, I'll give a shout out to Magic's wife, Celeste. She's actually a professional comedy writer. She writes sitcoms, and so she kind of added in a few lines here and there to really help and make this thing. So like the last line, that's a Celeste line, and so she deserves a lot of credit for this article as well.
Yeah, well, that's good. Magic writes every article, so it makes sense his wife helped out as well. Hosier.
Oh, Hosier. I mean, my goodness, he got beat 19 3/4 lengths in the Arkansas Derby, so another one pretty darn easy.
Hosier, the song "Take Me to Church" is sung and written by Hosier as well, if you did not know that. Superstock.
Yeah, Superstock got beat 2 races back by Hosier, so it was really good to just kind of have that there, that joke right there, so that was easy.
Losing at Lone Star never helps either. Like the King.
I mean, I always kind of use like the slugs thing because it's like I describe horses as slugs when they're really slow, and this one kind of seems to be that. So I'm talking about the slow fat slugs. Yeah, that was another the fat angle was another good Celeste ad there. She did a good job.
Known agenda. Yeah,
he's so boring that it was, and I said that on there too. It's like I had trouble coming up with something kind of funny because he's just boring to me. He's very boring.
Soup and sandwich.
I mean, that writes itself. I mean, you just you play on the name a little bit. I also threw in there like he sucks, and you always want to throw that in there as well.
King Fury.
Yeah, King Average. Yeah, I kind of like him underneath if he gets in, but I don't think he's going to. But yeah, that was a tougher one for me to kind of make something funny.
Not all of them are going to be easy, right?
Yeah.
Rock Your World.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I wanted to use Bounce, and I definitely wanted to use Ken Ramsey's name because he's like $1 million in debt to Mike Maker, and so Bounce bigger than a Ken Ramsey training fee check. I just thought I was going to use that with something. I thought Rock Your World made sense because he has a massive effort, so I thought he was the Bounce horse that I was going to use.
That was good. No, that was good. That makes sense. Bourbonic.
Yeah. That writes itself. He lost at Parks by 4 lengths before he won the Wood, so you don't have to be creative with that one.
Medina Spirit.
Yeah, I mean,
oh man,
he was kind of tough because he's another one. He's kind of boring, but he finishes second so much, so it's like, yeah, more seconds than a stopwatch. It's kind of dumb, but I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything better.
Midnight Bourbon.
Yeah, I honestly kind of feel this way. Like, he's the most average horse of all time. I mean, he really is. Like, he's just kind of there every time. But it's just he was easy to make fun of.
Keep me in mind.
I mean, you just kind of just be mean to him. What more can you say? The goal for him will be, I always kind of use this line as well. The goal for him will be to cross the wire before the sun rises Sunday morning.
It's crazy, folks, because I'm reading this for the first time because I saw Aaron put it up. Actually, I was putting up an article myself, and I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I don't want to read it yet because I wanted to do it on the show. So I'm reading it. I'm laughing while Aaron's talking about it because this is the first time I'm reading it, I promise. Mandaloon.
Yeah, the wise guy horse, I always put that on there because they never win, and it's obviously a terrible sign. So it's like, yeah, he's the wise guy horse, and that's bad. And the start in my dreams thing, it's like, that's a good horse to make fun of you if you finish behind him. So that was easy.
Caddo River.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody thinks he's going to get the distance, so that was an easy one to do.
Highly Motivated.
I mean, it just writes itself, right? Like the only intermission horse that can get the Derby distance is one trained by Bob Baffert, basically. So there's still time for a barn change.
I think out of all the ones, this one is not that bad. There's definitely been ones that are very bad. Like regarding the horse, that one's not that bad.
Yeah,
And the horse is actually good, dynamic one.
Yeah, I mean, another one. So that's why I said it's kind of in the middle, because some of these were like, what? Like, he's so boring. Like, what are you really going to say about him?
How about the overpriced one?
I think that was another Celeste ad. Very good ad.
That's a good one. Sainthood.
Yeah, again, it's like, what? I don't know. I mean,
Bezos.
Yeah, I mean, Bezos is such the wise guy horse, and he's also like the feel good horse. They never win, So the O stands for overrated. Another wise guy horse,
Oh God, the wise guy. I don't even think he's good. That's the thing. If you're a wise guy horse, you figured you'd be good. Get her number.
Get her number. I just thought it's a natural way to throw in Jared and the Tinder girls, So it's like, if you want to get her number, don't tell her to bet on this horse. She'll never talk to you again. She'll ghost you faster than Jared ghosts his Tinder girls. So that was an easy one.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's the funniest one. And if you know Jared personally, that is why it's the funniest one. If you don't know him personally, it's not going to be the funniest one. Something in my eye. Sorry. Far in my dreams.
Yeah, I mean, this one kind of wrote itself. It's like he's trying to get in. Like, he wasn't on the list, and then they added him back in when all these horses started falling off. And it's like, can you imagine being so bad you can't qualify for this year's Derby?
That's true, because this year's Derby is dreadful. Okay, I'm going to throw it to you. Which one, off the top of your head, which two? So which one do you think you did the best with, or you and Celeste collaborated with, I should say? And which one would you like to do over again that you said you weren't quite mean enough, or it wasn't that funny? Are there any two off the top of your head that stick out?
Yeah, like, I think Get Her Number for me was the funniest. I chuckled when I wrote that one, just because, I mean, even if you don't know Jared, it's still funny, because it's like, don't tell her to bet this horse if you want to get her number. You're imagining yourself at a Derby. You're trying to impress a girl that you just met. It's like, don't give her that one for sure, because she's not going to be impressed. So I like that one. I don't know. Some of these I kind of recycled, like Hidden Stash, like, is he the slowest Derby entry of all time?
Some you just
use that every year.
Things for.
Yeah. It's like, well, what more are you going to say about him?
I have the one that's not. I was going to say this is the worst one, because, and this is why. There's nothing that you could, like, other than the fact he lost. All these things, right? All these. If you please go to the website if you want to laugh again, I will read it again. Probably right before the Derby. I will read it again. I'll find it and read it. This one, there's nothing wrong about the name Bourbonic. A lot of them have to do with the name of his performances, but other than the fact that he lost at Parks, which we knew going into the, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's tough to be creative. So one has to be the worst one. The one you talked about, Get Her Number, was clearly the best one. I don't think that was close. Yeah. This is, to me, is just I shouldn't say the worst, the most boring, because you're just saying that he lost and sucks, which we know. Like,
right.
There's no play on words. But again, not every horse is going to be good. Let's get to a few of the comments. Dennis comes in. Dennis says, real quick, 40 minutes later, I was able to keep that to 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's impressive. Helium can't take the air out of a field or a balloon. Yeah, I think that's so obvious where it's like not funny, if that makes any sense. Like, if you talk about helium in a balloon, but your Rock Your World cover band material, that's pretty good. I like that one. That's creative. For Bourbonic, more than 1 minute julep. Yeah, I don't get that one.
The problem with the bourbon, there's like 2-3 horses that you could say bourbon stuff with. So it's like, if you do it with one, you have to do it with all. So I stayed away from it completely, but I get it.
Yeah, and I didn't make the article, but again, you kind of want to look at it like, is it too obvious? If it's too obvious, then it's not that good. Keep Me in Mind. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
That would have been good. You could
I like that.
All right. I assume this is Vinny. The problem is Concert Tour is not in the race. While it is hysterical and would be great, I think Aaron kept it to horses that are in the field. But
I love that. That is hilarious.
That is
unfortunately, when I wrote this, he wasn't pointing for it. So, yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to get to the other two articles. We have 5 Kentucky Derby horses with no chance of winning. Kind of like what we did yesterday, Aaron. I'm just going to have you speak to one of them. I'll go through them, and you could see when he started this 5 years ago, and he's kind of had some success, some little. Mind you, I don't think any of the horses have actually won. I think looking at Lee, right, was the closest one. Mm-hmm. A lot of the horses have scratched out of that race. High Call, Finnick, the Fierce, and you guys can go into it to see his history. But Aaron, I have 5 horses here: Hidden Stash, Get Her Number, Like the King, Sainthood, and the Dynamic One. So we have 5 horses, all of which you picked. Obviously, this is your deal. I need you to pick one horse that, if this horse finishes in the top 3, you will do the next live stream in some sort of weather condition. Now, I'm not going to say snow. I'm not going to say rain. It might be cold. I'll let you decide. One horse, so basically the worst horse here, if they finish in the top 3, I will let the audience decide how you do one of the next shows in the next coming weeks. If they finish in the top 3. Yeah.
So first of all, I have one. I'll do that. Just a quick premise of what this is and why we started this one. I did it 5 years ago, and I didn't really think much of it. The horse named Shagaff, and people went nuts on me. It's like, you're an idiot. You're crazy. Shagaff's going to win this thing. And he finished 20th. So, but what we saw was like it drove a reaction from people. People got pissed, or people, would be like, oh, I totally agree. Or they would be like, you're crazy, So like Gormley in the next time I did it, everybody went crazy about Lone Sailor was the worst. 3 years ago, people were calling me every name in the book that I had Lone Sailor on the list because he was working out like a monster. He got 8th 2 years ago. I don't think we had Tax. No, it was Tax. It was definitely Tax. Yeah, everybody's pissed about Tax. Last year, I don't really think we had a lot of pushback, maybe Major Fed. But the reason we do it, it's good to kind of eliminate horses. People are trying to eliminate horses, so you just kind of take a different look at it. And the second part of it is I always like to put one on there that I've seen people talking about just to try to get those people pissed off. So Dynamic One is the one this year that I think I'll get blowback with because people are kind of thinking that he's going to run a decent race. The one for me, if he finishes 3rd, I'll do something wild, is Get Her Number. I don't think this horse belongs in the race. So yeah, Get Her Number for me is the one where even though this is horses that can't win, top 3 even for Get Her Number I would just be baffled by.
So Get Her Number, to sum him up, finished off the board in the Rebel, then finished 4th in the Arkansas Derby. This horse should not be in the field.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, and I get it. On a serious note, I don't have connections to any Kentucky Derby horse. The chances of me ever having any sort of connections to a Kentucky Derby horse is less than 0.0000001%. Nonetheless, at some point, you got to just look at your horse and say, not good enough. And if you don't get 20 in the field, like, I'm of the mindset that as a horse racing fan, I don't need to see 20 in the gate. If there's only 18 in the gate or 15 in the gate and that's what belongs, that's fine. And to Aaron's point, like, Get Her Numbered, what indication does he belong in this race? So I'm okay with it. Like, I know it's field of 20. Like, that's what's so great. If you had a field of 15, but all 15 had a shot, I'm fine with it. I don't need to see 16 through 20. Do you know why? Because those horses never run well. So, I just don't need to see it. I get it's part of the tradition. That's one of my biggest pet peeves about Vinny says Country House got in. Yeah, no, we've seen crazy things before, but on paper, like, Get Her Number has no business. Like, 0. Like, at least the Dynamic One looks like he's got some sort of talent and some sort of shot. How do you look at Get Her Number and say that horse belongs? Like, I just don't get it.
I mean, Country House, I think, kind of deserved it. He ran 3 preps, 2 different tracks. You can't really say he threatened to win, but he was running pretty decent numbers coming into it. This horse, Get Her Number, he's been dreadful in 2 races,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And, Country House finished 3rd in the Arkansas Derby, 2nd in the Risen Star. That's both just those 2 and then ran in the Louisiana Derby. Also, these are much better, and he was much better than Get Her Number ever was. So, I mean, that's where I'm at. One more article, and then we're going to get to today's Belmont car. 3 long shots that could blow up the superfecta. So, obviously, these are horses that Aaron believes has a legitimate shot to finish top 4 and help spice things up a little bit. So, Aaron, I'll let you go. We'll just go in order. There's only 3 horses. So, tell me why on Medina Spirit's best day, he's got a shot to finish in the top 4.
Yeah, so I think Medina Spirit and Midnight Bourbon, I don't remember if I said this on air yesterday maybe, or if I was talking to somebody. My mind's kind of mushed as far as Derby talk because I'm just doing it 24/7 right now. But Medina Spirit and Midnight Bourbon are the same horse, in my opinion. They're always there. They have the similar running style. They have similar numbers every time they run. So I just kind of think those 2 horses definitely are those hit the board. They'll stay around. They're going to be a bigger price than the top 4 or 5 choices here. 12-1 maybe Medina Spirit, 20-1 Midnight Bourbon. They really haven't done anything wrong, other than they just haven't shown maybe they're good enough to actually win a big field against a big time field like this. But they can hit the board, and I think these 2 are just the most likely candidates to do that.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, right? I'm looking right now at the past performances. Medina Spirit has never finished worse than 2nd, and Midnight Bourbon has never finished worse than 3rd. Yep. So those are 2 logical choices. Again, only Midnight Bourbon 2 wins out of 7, Medina Spirit 2 wins out of 5. But to Aaron's point, and you could see Medina Spirit and then Midnight Bourbon, so similar concepts, they just continue to run well. And that's what Aaron's looking for. He doesn't need a horse to win. He's just looking to see if they can get 3rd or 4th. How about Superstock? Superstock, he is the horse that, and you put it in quotes in the 2nd sentence, he is the now horse. He is the horse that you want now. You probably would not want him over the summer, or you probably didn't want him at the beginning of the year. You just want him in this 2-month stretch. Maybe Concert Tour wasn't that good, but people thought Concert Tour would be the favorite in the Kentucky Derby had he won the Arkansas Derby. So why is he hit the board? But I'm also with you. This is going to be your price. Out of the 3, this should be your biggest price. So what made you like Superstock?
Sorry there, Ricky. Yeah, I'll do 2 things here. I'll post this comment and I'll tell you kind of the backstory of what happened with this article. So as of the day I wrote it, which I think was Tuesday, I started writing this. King Fury was at 21, okay? And Dream Shake is at 18, and we're pretty sure Dream Shake is going to run in the Pat Day and not this race. We don't know for sure, though, so we can't, put that, out there as fact. But that's just kind of the rumors we're hearing. That would have put King Fury in the field. So King Fury was number 3 on this list. However, on Wednesday, Bob Baffert says, no. Hosier's back into consideration. Hosier is now 21. King Fury is 22. So Hosier gets in if Dream Shake goes out. It's very frustrating, man. Very frustrating. I hate that. But anyway, go on to Superstock. Look, I just kind of think he just could be the horse that's in the best form now. He kind of showed that the distance is not going to really be a problem. His pedigree says the distance is going to be a problem. He's another one that's going to sit the trip kind of right behind the speed. I just think he could pass some tired horses late. And it could kind of be a situation where the 1st and 2nd place finishers, we're watching them. We're like, wow, I can't believe they got 1st and 2nd. And then we're almost back to like our seats by the time the race is over. And it's like, who got 3rd, by the way? They were so far back there. And he's like, I think Superstock won a photo for 3rd. That's kind of how I see him. I don't think he has any shot to win. He could just be that horse that hits the board.
He is one of 9 horses that comes into this race off of a win. So maybe that means something as well. Let's get into Vinny's comment. Hosier will get the gamine juice if he gets in. Hey, I'll let Aaron talk on that if he wants to. I'll leave that one alone.
He's going to need more than that.
Yeah, that horse might need legitimate steroids if he wants to, even if he wants to even finish in the top half. But no, that's if you guys want to check that out in depth. Obviously, he goes into it, and there'll be more stuff coming. There's the racingdudes.com website. You guys can check that out. Saratoga Slim will be out with his pace projection. Hopefully, when we get a better idea, probably early next week. I'm sure he started to work on it, but we got to finalize the field and things like that. To your point, Aaron, something that you said before, and I thought it was interesting before we get to Belmont, it is very annoying in terms of like, oh, this horse is considering, this horse isn't. Like, no. To me, we should have a deadline. I don't know what it is, 2 weeks before. So this year it would be what, the 17th? Mm-hmm. Look, if your horse has enough points, you want in, great. You don't want in, you're out. Like this is it's getting to the point where it's a little ridiculous. Or even if you want to do it 10 days before, have a cutoff. And then what you would have if there are horses that drop out, then you have a smaller field, because it's getting to the point where like we try to do this content and try to do it, and we like it's constantly changing minute by minute, because we have trainers with horses 18, 19, and 20 that aren't sure if they want to run. It's getting a little stupid. So just have a cutoff. If you don't like your horse's situation at the cutoff, then you pull them out. Very simple. I know it's like easy for me to say that, but have a deadline, have a cutoff, because it's getting a little ridiculous at this point.
I'm like a nerd. I like it. Like I like all the changes. I like following it. I like updating the chart and seeing who's in and out. Yeah, I mean the cutoff will be a Tuesday morning, I guess, right? So
yeah, no, and you know what the crazy thing is? None of these horses that we're talking about that are going to be in and out potentially have really any chance to win. It's not like we're talking about Essential Quality or even Hot Rod Charlie or even Midnight Bourbon or a horse that maybe has a shot. We're talking about horses that are barely eligible to make it.
Yeah,
I mean, come on now.
That's why the King Fury thing was frustrating, because he was one of the few where it's like if he gets in, I'm not saying he was going to win, but he could at least make some sort of impact in the race, you know?
Yeah, exactly, and that's fine. And maybe King Fury is a bad example, but like we're talking about the horses that like Hoser. Come on, like stop. We're talking about the 5th wide receiver on the depth chart for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That guy might be lucky to have one catch for 6 yards, but it's really important that Adam Schefter says he's in or not active today. It's really important when that happens Sunday morning at 11:30. It's ridiculous. Who cares? Hosier's not going to do anything anyway.
Yeah,
get your past performances out, because it is time for the first Belmont sequence of the year of 2021. It won't be our last. We could promise you that. I called Aaron on Saturday, and I said, you know what's really frustrating? When Belmont has a field of 9 and there are 3 MTOs and it's a beautiful day out. And now we're scratched down to a field of 6. And shocking enough, that's what we have here. You could see I'll introduce the race, but we already have 3 MTOs. We're scratched down to a field of 6. Like I said, this is allowance optional claiming. Starting in race 5, allowance optional claiming. $80,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, going 6 furlongs on the turf. So I will start with Aaron. You guys can see I'll announce the scratches real quick. The 4, Ryan's Cat, is a scratch. The 7, Montauk Traffic, is a scratch. And Ego Man, the 9. So we have the 4, the 8, and the 9. So Aaron, where did you go here? Again, field of 6 to kick off this sequence.
Yeah, field of 6, but I think it's a pretty decent field of horses here. But I really do think there's a standout. So my theme for the first 3 races will be kind of boring picks, and then I've got a long shot in the last. It's kind of crazy. But I went with the favorite, number 3, Maxwell Esquire on top here. If this horse, whatever you say here, the horse is going to be a short price. I get it, but if this horse just gets back to some of those races that he was running last year, I just don't see how they beat they beat him. I mean, he just looks like a standout in every way. Oh, by the way, the horse kind of likes to come from off the pace, and there's kind of some speed in here. So listen, it's kind of boring, but I went number 3, Maxwell Esquire on top, and that's where the $10 win wager will go. The other horse I think you could use is the 7 Battle Station, but I still kind of think it's going to be a situation where he can't hold off Maxwell Esquire down the lane. I mean, I don't hate Battle Station, but I don't think he's quite good enough.
I'm with you. I do kind of think this is a 2-horse race. Vinny chimes in and says Maxwell Esquire single as well. I'm not quite at that mark where I'm at a single, but I'm with you on the sentiment. I think it's the 3 or the 7. If you like the 3, Maxwell Esquire, I'm trying to understand why you don't like Battle Station. Now, when you have 2 horses at this is Dennis. I'll get to Dennis's comment in a minute. When you have 2 horses that have run very similar careers, like the Turf Sprint Championship at Aqueduct, then an allowance race, a very similar allowance optional claimer, that was a race taken off. In the Belmont Turf Sprint Invitational, these races are better. And what I'm afraid of, and this is why I want Battle Station, right? Aaron, we talk about closers and turf sprints all the time. They always have to overcome a lot more, and you better be a lot better. Like, that's play on words. You better be a lot better than that field if you're going to close like that into 6 furlongs. And mind you, the turf at Belmont Park is extremely, extremely slow. You will see a lot of gate to wire finishes, I promise you. Definitely going longer. We'll find out. Again, this is the first day of the meet, so we don't know. I'm looking at Battle Station, right? And there's just too much tactical speed to not include. When you look at Maxwell Esquire, he will have to close from the clouds. And I look at this field, and I'm looking for speed. And I don't see a ton of it, which is I see a decent amount for it, but not a ton. Like when you think of 6 furlongs on the turf, you think of a lot of speed. The 2 should show some. I think the 5 will, but that's cheap speed. Then the 6 will show some. I think it's enough where Battle Station could sit right there and just get a better trip. Again, is Maxwell Esquire that much better than Battle Station? If the answer is yes, then you could single. I don't think that's the case. For me, let's get to a few of the comments, and then Aaron, I'll let you kind of push back or add on to. Dennis says, I think the 7 has a legit chance to beat the 3, but if the 7 wasn't in the race, who could run second to the 3? Because I think the 5 underneath isn't a bad idea. Okay, that's a good question. For me, I think the 5 has a legitimate shot, is a long shot to get it. The problem is we've seen him on the turf. And Aaron, you know pedigree's 1,000 times better than me. I'm not a pedigree guy. I don't really care for it all that much, to be honest, unless I think it's relevant, like a surface switch. But this is a Malibu Moon. I believe that is mostly turf, correct?
He can go either way. Either way, Malibu Moon. Yeah. Okay,
so let's call him versatile. We've seen this horse 0 for 4 on the turf. If he was 0 for 0 on the turf, Dennis, I'm with you because we don't know. But this horse clearly can't handle the turf. If I had to pick, I would go with the 2. I think the 2 off a layoff for Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz. That's where I would go. What about you? If you were to upset, let's say you can't use the 7 and you were to upset the 3 Maxwell Esquire.
Yep, I'd take the 2 as well. The scary, quote unquote, scary thing about the 5 is that early speed. And that's always definitely a danger. The only reason I don't necessarily like the 5 is it has early speed, but usually fades, and especially on the turf. So I don't think it's the worst horse you could use. Is there a situation where, hey, the 7 doesn't fire and the 5 gets out there and maybe the 3 just kind of gets by the 5 late and somehow he hangs on for second or third? Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that's possible. So I don't think it's the worst to use, but I'm with you. I think that if anybody's going to upset, I think it's the 2.
One point I just want to touch on Vinny's, which I don't disagree with. He probably does want 5, 5.5, but if you look at his most recent races going 6, Turf Sprint Championship against Turned Aside, he's just not as good. So you could make the argument that he hits a wall. I would throw it back and say those races were better. Allowance optional, 80,000 conditional over a sloppy track. You could kind of throw that out. That was a race that he stayed on the dirt. But then the one before that, Belmont Turf Sprint Invitational, I mean, he's just not as good as those horses in my book. So I don't think, Vinny, I don't think your point is false. I agree with your point, but I put more emphasis on what I'm talking about, the competition, because I look at one horse in this field that he's not better than, and I think that's Maxwell Esquire. If we look at the other fields that I just referenced or talked about, he was 17-1, 10-1 and then in the Lucky Coin, he won at 20-1. So those odds are indications that he probably wasn't good enough. And then he ran at almost 6-1. He finished second. Aaron, anything you want to add on to? Anything we missed? Any horse that maybe you're interested in at a price or anything like that?
I tend to agree that from the standpoint, if it was 5 or 5.5, I would consider picking Battle Station. So like if you're trying to separate the two, I do think that is the separator. I do kind of agree with your point as well. Boy, those 6 furlong races were a hell of a lot tougher than what he's facing today, So it is a little bit of both, and I think the safe way to play it is to do what you did. I think 3-7, and if they lose, and it's just like a hell, I don't know, what could I have done?
And that's the thing, right? I mean, if you're playing it my way, I don't know how you leave Battle Station off. If I'm playing it your way, I completely understand why I have to choose between the two, unless I just want to play it a cold 3-7, 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
And even then you won't make that much. But I'm with you. Like if you're playing it my way, I don't understand how you leave either of the two off. I don't get it. I really don't. Because I think Maxwell Esquire, I'll poke holes in both before we sum it up. Maxwell Esquire is probably the more talented horse, but he will be coming from well back in a field. I'm not sure that's going to provide a ton of pace. And I look at Battle Station, maybe the distance is an issue. And we haven't seen him since November 28th at Aqueduct. So there are question marks with both. Hence why I'm not going to single. I'm going to move on to the next race. And again, this is horse racing. I think if you can make a logical argument for or either way in this race or any, that's why I never ever say for someone I trust that their opinion is invalid, because I think if you do support it with enough evidence, you can make it logical. Let's move on to this maiden special weight. For fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, going 1 1/4 miles on the inner turf. This is daunting, Aaron. This is 2 turns. It's probably the longest 2-turn race these horses are ever going to run. You cannot go. Luckily, there are no first-time starters in here because you almost have to throw those out immediately in my book. I'll scroll down here. So we have no scratches, no changes, no nothing, which is great. Aaron, I wanted to take anyone that I thought had a shot. Literally, if I thought you had a legitimate chance to win, you're on my ticket. And I'll start with the 2 coalition building. Second start off the layoff. That's what got me, right? First of all, Magic put me on to the Klaravich names. Klaravich Stables or Peter Brandt. Coalition building. I think Peter Brandt he did his own startup stuff, and he always tries to name his horses after finance or investments or startups or whatever. So coalition building, it goes along with that. That's great that they do that with the names. It's but if you look at those races, Antoinette turned out to be a pretty good horse, pretty good filly, I should say. Lemon Drop Kid. I know that pedigree is good for this situation, and obviously Chad Brown. But again, the second race off the layoff, she hadn't run since October 24th of 2019. It's a pretty long layoff. I'm not good at math, but I understand that's like a 15-month layoff, something like that. Comes back, runs pretty well, shows she can close, and the half was 49-1. To make up ground and do it decently, kicked 3 wide, then went 5 wide. I was really impressed. I'll leave it there, and then I'll let you talk about it, and then I'll talk about the rest. I'm really afraid that she's going to go off at a short price and win. She does look like the most likely winner on paper, though.
Yeah, so I am with you. If I'm playing like you, I'm going deep. The problem is, and I analyzed this race for a long time as far as trying to figure out the betting and what I needed to do and what was the most likely way for me to cash and make money. I experimented with a lot of exactas and tries, and all of them were like, yeah, I'm not real confident in, or even if it comes in, it's not going to pay a whole lot. The field only being 8 horses kind of screws you up a little bit. And past that, the 3 and the 4, I just don't see. So they're the 2 like biggest prices. So then you're really you're screwing yourself if you play an exacta or try here. And that's why I kind of reluctantly went with a win wager, even though I think it is a wide open race. I went with the win wager, $10 to win on number 2, Coalition Building. It's one of those deals. It's a long distance race. There's good horses in the race. The horse has the best speed figures. I don't know if that really means anything for this going a mile and a quarter, but she also has the best connections. I think you're going to get around that 2-1, maybe 8-5 type price, just because there are other options and it's kind of a quirky distance. It almost makes Coalition Building worth wagering on here. Now, if this horse gets pounded and it's like even money or something, I would stay away. But I just kind of feel like you're at least going to get like 8-5. The pedigree is there. Like I already mentioned, the speed figure this horse earned last time out is higher than anybody else in the field, so that is good. But I'm with you. I definitely think you need to go deep. I thought the 8 was very interesting from the standpoint, and we talk about this a lot, these longer turf races, you want a horse that's in front. You want a horse that has early speed. This is a horse that has it. Like the 8 should be in front here. Coming out of shorter races where she was kind of just off the pace, maybe a half length, couple lengths off the pace, now coming to a mile and a quarter here at Belmont. This is going to be your leader. So I definitely think you need to use the 8 as well. And then the 1, makes a lot of sense as well. Second off the layoff. Horse has great, turf pedigree as far as going long. Christophe Clement, obviously, turf trainer you want to use a lot at NYRA. So the 1, the 2, and the 8 were my 3 like must-use horses.
Yeah, I used them all. 1, 2, 5, 7, 8. I have no idea. I'm just praying the 2 doesn't win. Because if the 2 doesn't win, I think I can get a decent enough price where it was worth it.
Yep.
If the 2 does win, I could easily be sitting at 8-5, and it stinks. I think the 1 can legitimately be 4-1. I think the 5 can legitimately be 5-1 or 9-2. I think the 7 can be 4-1, and the 8 will probably be around the same thing. The 2 will take money here. I don't think the 2 will be 2-1. I think the 2 will be closer to 7-5 or 8-5. Can I beat her? I think the answer is yes. She looks very vulnerable to me. I'll go through why I liked a few of the others, and we'll get to the comment. I talked about the 2 second off the layoff. This is second off the layoff for the 1 also. Summer Front, I know that's turf pedigree. I'm not that much of a nightmare. Ran a lot better in her second start. Those races at Saratoga to debut going 2 turns is very, very difficult. Like, very, very difficult. I think she'll do better here. Can go long. Christophe Clement, just keep your eye on Christophe Clement on the turf at Belmont. I would say it's like Chad Brown than him in terms of turf in my book, trainers on the turf. So I have a good feeling with him at this meet. Chad Brown again in the next race. It kind of seemed the next horse, the 5 Higher Truth. She has the pedigree. You can see by Galileo, by Juan Bell Better out of a Marmalade. All this is Irish bred. Can go the distance. Again, I'm not going to judge a filly going 9 furlongs on the turf in their debut. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. And to doubt Chad Brown getting Jose Ortiz, good luck. This horse was purchased for $645,000 at Tattersall. Like, why would I not use that horse? Just makes no sense. And she closed. I mean, she got better. Once she realized what she was out there to do, she got better. She was 9th by 19 lengths, finished 6 by 5. That's enough improvement for me to use. The 7 Spatial comes out of the same race. She was a little bit more professional early on, but even she was towards the back of the pack. Christophe Clement, I expect her to be better. The 8 is interesting. Seant, right? This was the horse that you were talking about a little bit. Uncle Mo can go long, has turf pedigree. On the dam side, by auction, she just looks like she might be a career maiden. The problem is she has speed. So how do I not use her? I think I made a case for all the horses that I think can legitimately win.
Yep.
I was really close to not using the 2. I was really, really close because I think this field, they're all up in the air. And I think Irad and Chad Brown will take the money. But I was really, really close to not using it too. Dennis says, what is the 3 doing in here? Dennis, I have no idea.
No.
If the 3 wins, it'll be the biggest upset of Belmont's meet. I guarantee it. Because this horse at 20-1 is more like 50-1. I don't care if she takes money or not. He says, I like the 8, but I can see the 1, 2, 5, 7. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I wasn't going to single. Mark says, I like the 2 and the 8. The 8 seems, I agree. That's why I like the 8. Like when you have Belmont's very interesting, right? When you have a horse that has speed, they're always a threat. Like we've seen this at Gulfstream. I think it's even more so at Belmont. This one, the last time we saw her at Belmont, Aaron, she finished second, going a mile on a 16th. That was a long time ago, but I have to include her. Anyone else you want to add? Any of these long shots you're interested in before we move on?
No, I think you did it right. Like I kind of said at the start, the 3 and the 4, I don't think they have a shot. But then after that, it's any of them do. And I think from a structuring standpoint of your ticket, I really can't argue with what you did here. And I'm with you. A lot of people will say, and I'll get on this for just a second. A lot of people say, well, you're using 5. Why not use 8? And I think this is a good race to kind of tell people why. Because if the 3 and the 4 win, just shoot me. Like, I don't want to waste money on these horses, So I like it. I don't have any problem with you playing 5 out of the 8 instead of all.
Well, let's do some math here, right? I used 5 horses. So let's say I were to use the other 3. And I think out of the 3, only one of them have a legitimate shot. If I were to do that, I'm spending another $24. Why would I want to spend another $24 when I don't think they're going to when they have a chance to win?
Yeah.
That's if it's free money that I find on the ground, maybe. But
right.
I'm not going to spend my money doing that when I don't think they have a chance to win. And I've said this time and time again, if I'm in a 4-horse field and I only think 3 of them can win, I'll use the 4. I'll use the 3. But I better be damn sure that 4th is not going to win. Yeah. I don't care. A lot of people disagree when you get to 4 or 5, just use them all. Not me. If that 4th horse does win, I will wear yoke on my face. That's fine. I'll be the first to admit it, but I'm not going to do it. I just won't do it. Let's move on to the 7th race. This is a nice quality field, short as well, but it's a good field. 6.5 furlong allowance race here for fillies and mares, 3-year-old and upward, going 6.5 on the dirt. Aaron, we have again a quality field, only 6 though. There's one horse that kind of seems that she's turned the corner, and then one horse that we kind of know what she's going to be as well. So I'll let you kind of talk about it here, and you have another win wager.
Yeah, and again, another boring win wager on a favorite here. But again, I look at the number 2 Ant Cat, and it's like, yeah, I think that horse is going to win, So I did $2 to win on number 2 Ant Cat. Listen, last time out, that was really good. And I got to be honest, most people will not agree with this. I like that win came in New York at Aqueduct and not at Gulfstream, because I think Aqueduct to Belmont form will hold a little better sometimes than Gulfstream to Belmont form. So I kind of liked that the win came there at Aqueduct. That was kind of the last thing that pushed me over the top here. Obviously, I think, and I peek at your ticket here, and I see you use the 2 and the 5. I think you have to use the 5. I think more so you have to use the 5 here than you had to use the 7 in the first leg. Not that I disagreed with you, but I think the 5 really is a must use here. So I get it, but I think Ant Cat gets the job done. And I think the presence of the 5 hopefully gives Ant Cat a little bit of a price here.
Well, Aaron, to your point, and I appreciate you agreeing, because not everyone agrees with me. The 2 is the horse that she cuts back in distance. First of all, they start her out going 1 mile on the dirt, which makes sense by Uncle Mo. So you think distance is going to make sense there. So I don't blame Belmont for doing that. Then they try him over a muddy track. That didn't work either. So then they cut him in distance. But it makes sense because she showed speed in the first race on the debut, like whatever, you don't really know. But then in the next race over a muddy track, she showed some speed and just weakened. But so they cut her back and she dominates. I'm not going to single a first time against winners in a field like this.
Mm-hmm.
If she were to step up and face allowance optional claiming like 40,000, okay, maybe. But this is a tough group. And if Cat wins here and wins by a couple, she's going to be in a stakes race next time out. I could almost guarantee you that. So that's why I went with Rubies in Time as well, because she did win a stakes race. No, it wasn't I don't know what this is. I've never seen this before. It's called the Videogenic. It's not even I've never heard of that race before, but to be brutally honest, I don't know if it's the New York horses against like Fair Regis, Malibu Mischief. That's fine. But then she won it. She's now won 2 races in a row and looked pretty good in 2021. I'm not the biggest Richard Schlossberg fan. I'll be the first to admit it. But I don't know. I mean, if Aunt Cat's not as good as we think, then Rubies in Time is probably the most likely one. So I believe Aunt Cat's going to win. I also thought She's a Black Belt was interesting also because she's just ultra consistent. I would love to have She's a Black Belt in my barn.
Mm-hmm.
Decent purchase price, so they're probably losing money, but she's pretty solid. I mean, by the time her career is up, she'll probably eclipse $250,000, $300,000. And if she were to Aaron like Trevor McCarthy, he's a big like Mid-Atlantic guy. If he were to go down to like Laurel or Pimlico, I could see her being very, very good down there. It's for less money. I understand that, but I could see her being good. And then the 4, Saratoga Fair. She's the one I'm curious about because she lost to Alondra, who was really, really good last year, but we haven't seen her. That was the first time stretching out. So now they cut her back where she won on debut at Gulfstream Park. I'm afraid that she's going to be good. I have to take a shot. I think Cat's the horse to beat, but I thought Saratoga Fair was decent as well. What are the other a couple horses that you thought were decent in here, or maybe ones that you're afraid of if Cat were not to show up?
Yeah, the 4 is one that I didn't use anywhere, and I'm with you. I am afraid of this horse, but it's one of those deals where it's like I like some of these other horses underneath a little more than this one. So I didn't use her, but I'm with you. I think Saratoga Fair is an interesting horse in here. I like the 3 a little bit if you're going to play a try. And obviously, if you're going to play a try here, whatever you do, don't box it. Like single somebody on the top and then, play a couple of horses in the 2nd and the 3rd spot. So you keep that ticket cost down. But I do think the 3 is kind of one that can kind of clunk up, hit the board type. That's one I had some interest in underneath. And I'm with you on She's a Black Belt. I think that horse is interesting as well. And another one that, if you're going to play a try, maybe play that horse underneath. I don't think the 3 and 6 are like win contenders really. But I do think they can jump up and hit the board here and kind of spice up the payouts.
Let's talk about Dennis's horse. He says the one lost to a drugged horse. Yeah, she did lose by close to 20 lengths. She does have the class. This is just a rule of thumb for me. I can't take a horse then when you've lost by that much. I don't care where you're running. I don't. And off the layoff makes it even more okay in my book. I just can't do it. I don't care. If you lose by close to 20 lengths and you drop in for a 20,000 tag, I will still be very shy. So I just can't do it, Aaron. When there's a horse that's not on the screen, it's very tough for me to say that she's going to come back. And is it possible that she was hurt out of that race or wasn't training well? Also possible, because just because you lose by 20 lengths doesn't mean you stop running in June. So I don't know. I couldn't use her. I
don't hate the horse, but the layoff was scary to me. And I don't hold what happened in that acorn against her, just I drew a line through it kind of. Yeah, she's just not one that it's kind of like the 1 and the 4 were kind of the same boat. It's like these layoff horses, and you've got horses running, and they're in really good form. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for the 1 or the 4. I think, Dennis, the biggest thing I would look for the 1, I think she should be higher than 9-2. So if those odds float up and you get to that 6 to 8 to 1 range, that's when maybe, because like I said, you like her, and I'm not going to talk you off of her, but I will talk you off of like betting her if she's not like 6 or 8 to 1. That's what I would advise.
That's fair. At 4 to 1, I would take the 4 over the 1 at 9-2. So if you were just give it straight up, I'd honestly even take the 6 at 8 to 1 more than I would take the 1 at 8 to 1. That's just me. But again, it's horse racing, and things happen for a reason. We didn't talk about the 3, but I don't think any of us really like the 3 at all. She's won 1 race, and it was at Gulfstream Park just at the end of last year, and she barely did it, won by half a length. So I don't know if she's really good enough to compete. Let's go to the final race here. Maiden claiming for $40,000 for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, New York bred. So we introduced some New York breds here in this sequence. Post time at 4:40. They're a little early. But that's okay. We have a couple scratches. The 8 Gray Lollipops and the 14 and 15 Little Miss Scarlet and Happy Hill Lil. I didn't really know where to go in this race until the big one, Mazel 18 draws in. The first also eligible. I'll be the first to admit she's supposed to win. I think dropping in, facing New York breds, she's supposed to win. But I could not single her. I just couldn't. And here's why. She has some tactical speed. I think we would admit that. But we haven't seen that speed in a long time. Now, what happens in these types of races, Aaron, especially on the Widener turf, not on the inner turf, you're really, really, really far out there. And I have a feeling that this, we've seen New York breds all the time. It's one of my worst and biggest pet peeves at Saratoga, when they have a big sequence of the day and they end it with a race like this. It's like, stop, please stop. And if I wasn't alive to a sequence, I just leave. I don't even care. The problem is she's talented, but she's going to probably be coming from way far out of it. And these horses don't pass each other. I don't think I've done this in a long time. I solely didn't single this horse because of the post position. And I can't remember the last time I did that because of the way the turf course is designed and her lack of speed. We haven't seen that speed since October of 2019. I went deep. I used a bunch of horses. You have a win bet on one of the horses that I didn't use. So I guess I'll go through the other ones that I did use. I used the 3, the 5, the 9, and the 13. I'll just go through them real quick, and then I'll let you talk about your win bet. That is definitely a shot in the dark. Christophe Clement, first time on the turf, dropping in for a tag, comes in at 3 to 1. I don't think she belongs, but Christophe Clement knows something that I don't, apparently. So I'm not sure what that sloppy race was about. I'm not sure why she was in it. I don't know. But she drops in the air. Why not? And she comes in at close to the morning line. Then we have the 5, Undetectable. Another one trying the turf for the first time. This is Aaron's move. 5 by 13 and a quarter, 7 by 29 and a half. Clearly, this horse does not want to run on the dirt. If this horse runs this way on the turf, this horse is guaranteed to lose every race she ever runs it. Okay, so that's what I have to say. But shocking enough, I use her as well. At least she's broken sharply from the gate one of the times. Oh, God. I can't believe I'm making that one. And then the 9, Mondoose. She's dropping in for a tag, and she wasn't dreadful last time out. She wasn't good. She wasn't dreadful. And what I will say, and I put this in my write-up, David Donk does a really, really good job in turf races when they drop in for a tag. That is, I've noticed that. I don't have stats behind it, but I've realized that is like his specialty. He does a really good job in that moment and in those types of races. So I included that horse as well, but I can't wait for this. All right, Aaron, give it a shot with your 7, a Michael Maselli, Pablo Morales duo on a horse that has never been on the dirt. Never been on the turf and just lost by 46 lengths. So I'll let you take it away.
Right. So I've watched Naira enough now to know that these last races, the illogical horse always wins. Always wins, right? So I'm 1,000% with you that the 9 or the 13 should win, especially the 13. The 13 has no excuse. This is one of those that we talk about at Gulfstream when we get these horses entered in a race like this, and we say, you don't win here, take him to the beach. Just get him out. Get him out of the track. Take him to the beach. Let him live his life out on the beach. I don't know where you take him in New York. I mean, Central Park maybe. Take him to Central Park. Just let him loose. 13 should win. I went with the 7, okay? Because, again, illogical horses always win the last race at NYRA, especially when Belmont starts and Saratoga. The 7 is trying turf for the first time, definitely has a turf pedigree. That's number one. I definitely think the 7 is going to enjoy the turf. I also think the 7 will be ridden for speed. I really think they'll just send this horse. We're trying something new. We've shown speed a little bit in the past in some of our dirt races. Just send them to the front. In this case, her. Send her to the front. Just send her to the front and see what happens. Maybe she gets brave on the lead here. Maybe she takes some gate to wire. I think we'll get like 30 to 1 on this horse. I'm taking a swing. I mean, listen, I went favorite. Let's take a swing with this one. I really believe the turf is going to make a difference. I think the horse will run in the top half of this field for sure. And then when I think, okay, what if the 7 gets out in front of the rest of these horses? Yeah, I don't really think they're going to want to pass. So let's take a shot with New York Banker here.
Oh my goodness. All right. Before I'll get to Dennis's comments before I talk on the 7.
Okay.
I kind of like the 8 at a price. Okay, the 8's out.
Yeah.
We can eliminate that one. Let me take a swing at the 7's reasoning. Run at Finger Lakes, which is what I would do, or 7, or run on the turf.
Yeah. So he's saying, Finger Lakes is opening. I think it's next week, or is it this weekend? No, it's next week. And he's saying, hey, take this horse to Finger Lakes if she's no good. No, we'll try the turf.
You know why I wouldn't take this horse to Finger Lakes? You're going to laugh. The gas money that it costs to take this horse from Belmont to Farmington, New York is not worth it. I don't know what the gas money is. It's probably like, what, $2.49 around here in New York. It's not worth the gas. It's not worth the gas money. And you have to pay, I don't know what they're called, right? You got to pay someone in the van. What are they called? I forgot
to ship them. Yeah.
Right. You got to pay someone to make sure the horse gets there safely and can run.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Even if it was $500, it's not worth it. This horse is one of the worst horses I've ever seen. And the fact that this horse is 10 to 1 is embarrassing. And here's why. How do you not take the 10 last at 12 to 1? We don't know anything about her. And at least she gets Kendrick Carmouche. Maybe she's halfway decent. Or, I don't know, the 12's pretty bad too. God. Yeah, okay, the rest of them are really bad. This is... but at least the 6 has finished second a couple times at Parks. Like, how do you look? I can't look at the 7 and think this horse hasn't been within 11 lengths.
Because he's been on the wrong surface. Or on the turf, we've got some speed. We've caught a dreadful field. You can't argue that. Now the 13 drawing in.
I'll give you that. This is a bad field.
Listen,
I'll give you that.
We've caught the turf. We've been waiting all winter to get this horse on the turf. We've caught the turf. We've got speed, and we're against a dreadful group.
Can I say something like half serious, half kidding before we go? I genuinely feel bad for this horse. Like, I genuinely feel that this horse is better off never having run. Like, by any indication, she hasn't given you a chance. Like,
dude, this horse has been bet too. Dennis, you brought it up.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, you're telling me a horse was 8 to 5 last time out, and I'm going to get 30 to 1 today? I mean,
I'm sorry if you bet this horse. I want to know the idiots that bet on this horse. I'm sorry. Please reach out to me and tell me you were that person. This horse is dreadful. Vinny says he likes the 2 a little bit. I think it's an all race. You know what, Vinny? I don't like the 2, but I'm with you because this horse has never run before. At least we don't know anything about her. I would take a shot with the 2 over the 7 any day of the week because I don't know. Just like I would take the 10. Same reason. I don't know.
Do you have the 7 ranked worst, like the worst horse?
No, but I'm saying if I were to place a win bet.
Right. Well, yeah, like how far down the line is the 7 for you?
Okay, so I'll rank them. This is good. I'm not going to rank them in order, but how about I take the horses that I'm guaranteed I think will finish better?
Okay.
The 3, the 5, the 8's out. The 9, the 10, and the 13. So I guess we're only at 5. I'd be willing to say the 2 would finish better. I'd be willing to say the 6 finishes better. So that's where I'm at. So I think the 11. I'm going to say the 11 finishes better as well. So I think the only horses that are guaranteed to finish worse are the 12, the 1, the 4, and the 12. That's it. So I guess I don't know.
You're gonna fall off. Like I don't even know what you're gonna do. I can't even describe it when the 7 wins today.
If the 7 wins this race, I will do whatever you want. That's within reason. That's within reason. And that doesn't involve money. Within reason and doesn't involve money.
Oh, it's getting worse and worse. Okay.
This is dreadful. Devin says 8. Dennis, excuse me. Actually, 2-1, beaten 2-1 and 9-5. Someone thinks this horse has potential. I guess he's talking about the 7.
Yep.
8-5. Okay, so that's what he meant. The 8 scratch. I'm on the 7. Then how about this? You guys would be better off giving me $10 and I'll book the bet. So if this horse goes off at 30-1, I'll pay you out $300. I'm highly considering doing that for anyone who wants to bet that horse.
I would almost like that because what's $10? You know,
you want to do it? $10?
You're gonna give me $300 if this whatever the odds are if this horse wins. Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm capping you at 30-1 though. Higher than that, you get 300.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair.
So if it's 40-1, you still get 300.
I got it. Yeah.
So because if this horse goes off at like 99-1, I'm not paying you $1,000. So
well, to be fair, I don't think he'll go off past 30-1. I really don't.
That's also fair. So okay, so we have it here. We have a book bet. I will book his bet up to 30-1. So technically, I'll be paying him back 310. Well, no, 300 because I won't make him give me the 10 up front.
Right.
So we'll just call it. It is what it is. Mind you, there was another horse. I forgot what it was. Aaron and I did a live stream. It was a long time ago. Aaron still owes me the $10 from that. I don't remember the horse. I will have to do my research. And he knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking. Oh, yes, you do. It was a live stream. I got to go into the archive. I forgot what it was. It was early in January. I got to find that. Wait, 99-1. At 99-1, sure, the horse is worth it. Fine. This race is bad. That's going to do it for us today. So we're ending it on a booked bet, which is nice. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back at Belmont tomorrow. We usually don't recap, but I'm guaranteeing we recap at least this race. Guaranteed. I don't care if we all finish last. I will recap this race. That's going to do it for us. We have a lot to get to. I'm going to try to put out 4 tracks for Saturday. So I got a lot to get to. Definitely 3. Our Oak Lawn's already done for Saturday. I'm going to try to incorporate Santa Anita as well. And Aaron's got, I'm sure, more Kentucky Derby stuff to get to and things to add. So we're going to let each other go, or I'll let each other go, I should say. That's going to do it for us. We will see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m., covering Belmont again, and we'll cover some stakes races. There's not a ton, but we'll cover it as well. I'll let Aaron know what we're going to cover. So we'll do some stakes races. We'll recap, guaranteed this race, maybe not the other 3, but guaranteed this race to talk about it. And then we will do Belmont. I think they're going to be 6 through 9 tomorrow. Their last 4, I believe, is 6 through 9. Maybe something positive on Soup and Sandwich. That's an Aaron thing. I've not been doing the Kentucky Derby stuff. So Vinny, shoot Aaron a text. Maybe we can get a positive Soup and Sandwich. By the way, he did say something nice. I think he said it's something, there's a deal at Panera Bread called Soup and Sandwich. So, right. Vinny, check that out. Maybe I don't know if it's positive or negative, but there was Panera Bread something mentioned, so maybe it was positive. I don't know.
So I have Soup and Sandwich in what I call no man's land. Okay, I don't have him as a price to play. I don't have him as a win contender. I don't have him as a horse to throw out. He's in that gray area, and he's gray, so it makes sense.
Oh, you know what? I guess if you do like Soup and Sandwich, I guess that's not the worst thing that could happen. The fact that he's in the no man's land, because you could be in the horses that have no shot group.
Yes.
So at least, I guess what Aaron's saying is for this horse is probably going to finish like somewhere between 8 and 12, which is like you don't know what to do with him, kind of. Yeah. So, Vinny, at least you're not like a hidden stash or get her number.
Right. Yeah.
You really got it that way. That's going to do it for us. I have to go collect $300 from my piggy bank somewhere just in case. I'm going to try to find Aaron. I'm going to try to find that horse. It was a head-to-head bet. I don't remember what it was. I'm never going to find it, but I do remember.
Was it on the Pegasus live stream?
I believe so because it was like one of the first ones, and I have to look at the race. Like if I knew what the live stream was, I could just go through the races. Mark says Soup and Sandwich is better served at lunch. That's fair. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. You do want your Soup and Sandwich around 12:30, 1 o'clock, right around now on the East Coast. You don't really want it around 6:20 or 6:30, whatever. But that's going to do it for us. We will see you guys tomorrow. Let us know if you're playing the 7. And if you are, please get mentally checked. If you're not, smart move. We will see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and we will check in with you on April 23rd, Friday afternoon from Belmont, New York. By the way, last thing, there are no fans at Belmont. Not yet. Please don't show up. I thought there were. There are no fans. Do not show up for the time being. Hopefully soon. Yeah. Hopefully in a couple weeks. But just want to do it. Everyone take care, and we will see you guys.